Hello and welcome to Secrets of the Immortal Friday call number 6. We're going to be talking about the 6th hour of Secrets of the Immortal. It is Friday, September 9th. My name is Gary Renard. I'm coming live from the San Antonio freeway with my awesome wife who's driving. Say hi, baby. Hi. Thank you so much. I love you. And I'm super excited because I love new content. And this was new content for me to hear this last week, and I'm just excited to talk about all the things that I heard. And I want to definitely get my memory jogged with you and hear what your highlights were from the 6th hour. So that's my highlight. We have several people on the call. Who wants to go next? Tell us your name, where you're from, and what you're excited about from today's call.
Okay, I'll talk. Hey,
All right.
so I'm Angela Irving, and I am in Austin, Texas. I feel like my excitement, well, I mean, the subject of time is a pretty raucous one in regards to all of this material. I have a feeling we're going to have an interesting discussion about that. So that's, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited about, whatever people are getting.
Yes, about time.
Well, about anything, really.
Yeah, anything they heard from it. Yes, I know. I'm so excited to talk to everyone about it. Well, thank you, Angela. And what freeway are you on?
I'm not on a freeway because that would be bad because I'm the only one in my car right now.
Oh, okay.
I am in a parking lot. Also, again, in Center Ranch, like I was last week. So
awesome.
It's just in between my last lesson and my house.
Oh, sweet. Well, great to have you on.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. All right. Who's next?
Hey, Randy and Violet Krebs from Salt Lake City, Utah. A great chapter. I think one of the nuggets I picked up was on direction. We keep saying our script is already put together when we were born, but there are different directions you can still take during your life that almost plays with which way the script's going to turn out. So one of the things that I've got out of this call we can talk more on as well.
Awesome. What about you, Mom?
I think the same. The same.
Yes. Thank you for being on.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
All right.
Hey guys, is there anybody else or is it just me?
Just you.
Woo! Woo! This is Nathan Lively. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm excited to talk about this chapter. I don't remember a lot from this chapter, but I just remember feeling good at the end of it because he read some really pleasant stuff at the end. So I kind of just remember the warm, fuzzy feeling.
Beautiful. Thank you for being on, Nathan.
Thank you, Jared.
All right. All right, well, let's get right into it. My biggest highlight from chapter 6 is when Gary is talking about how he went to the movies and he chose a different movie, like he was actually at the matinee or whatever movie. And our in-person told him that had he chosen the initial movie he wanted to see, that he would have left the movie theater like 30 minutes earlier and he would have gotten into a bad car accident and had to totally be injured and live his life with this injury. But since he had done so much forgiveness lessons, he actually switched into a different dimension, which made him choose a different movie and made him go out of the theater later, and he ended up not getting into the car accident. And it really makes me think about my wife Crystal, because when she 3 years ago, I think she shifted out of it, and I think that's how she survived and lives the life she lives today is because of all the forgiveness that she did, and she's in a totally different place now, and it's just so exciting. All of us, you know, like whatever we can forgive, it's like I want to just forgive and forgive and forgive. And I got some news for you guys out in the field. In the last week, I had a huge forgiveness lesson to do with my sister. I thought that I was going out there to support my mom, and me and my sister got into this huge argument. It was mostly my sister who was attacking me, but I could have been really, really mad at my sister. I had every right to be mad at my sister, but I don't want to reincarnate and come back to this another life like this and be in a fight with my sister again. Hell no. I'd rather be wrong. I'd rather have peace. And so instead of getting mad at my sister, it was all over my mom getting a second opinion on her cancer diagnosis and delaying her chemo for 24 hours. But at the end of the day, I chose peace. And I wrote Pamela a text and I said, you know what, Pamela, I am so sorry that I influenced mom to seek, you know, outside the medical establishment. The impact is it could have delayed mom's treatment, and in the future I'll go with what the medical establishment says. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. And I said that to my sister. And I didn't think she would actually come around that fast, but by the next morning, she's like, I can accept that apology. Emotions were high. The last thing mom needs is for us to be fighting. And then we had perfect restoration. And that was on the field. I mean, that was real forgiveness. And I just remember going to bed the night when we were fighting, and she sent me all these texts about how I'm not welcome at her home, and all, you know, just how I'm a coward and this and that. And I could have totally taken it the wrong way. I mean, I could have totally not talked to my sister for 5 years. I've seen people do that. But instead I'm like, you know what? Nuh-uh. I don't care. I don't need to be right. I'd rather apologize and have peace. And my mom did the same thing because she was thinking about going to the second opinion, but she instead decided that she'd rather have peace in the family than go to get the second opinion. And she can still go anytime she wants, but I want to give a big shout out to my mom, Viola. Mom, thank you for choosing peace in our family over, you know, the second opinion, because you can still obviously get that anytime. And thank you for being a great example of forgiveness and leading our family so well through this, because you are our rock, and I love you.
Mercy. She's doing.
All right.
She's doing some milk, so she's staying active.
Oh, I can't sit long.
Yeah, it's hard for her to sit long.
Totally understand, but I just wanted to share that with you guys because to me that has to do with forgiveness, and those were like the big forgiveness lessons that I dealt with this week.
That was huge, especially with that sister.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, who's next? What were your highlights in chapter 6? And anything out in the field? How have you been forgiving in your life?
So I guess I can take that because I always have notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you have your notes on a different device. Way to go.
I do. I know. I thought about it before I left an area of Wi-Fi.
Yay.
Yeah, I got it updated today, so I can, you know, that's what this weird glow is on my face right now. Is my iPad.
Good job.
Thanks. So, okay, you don't have a choice regarding whether you will teach something. You have a choice which version of reality you teach, and you and others both will learn from that. That's kind of a paraphrase of, I think, one of the later things he said from like the manual of teachers, saying basically like, no matter what you do, you're going to be teaching something, and you'll be teaching whatever you're believing at that time. And if you believe that you're a body, or if you believe in the material universe, you're going to be teaching that. But if you believe in that we're all pieces of God currently that just need to forgive everybody, then that's what you'll teach. I thought that was pretty cool. So,
Yes.
and then let's see, the world can't be saved unless you do your part. That was like one of the weird twists of this whole. I mean, there was a lot of weird paradoxes in this chapter. The fact that you couldn't screw it up if you tried, but you have to do your part. Like, I don't, like, it doesn't seem to make sense to me in some ways that those can coexist. That, like, oh yeah, well, no matter what, everyone's going to be back with God, or everyone is back with God, and everybody will all realize that somehow. But you have to do your part, but you can't. You know, I mean, it's like, wait, but that, then I don't, what? You know what I mean? Wait,
Yes,
you're muted.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
The linear time.
No, that's great. There's a lot of paradoxes like that. It seems like Jesus is speaking out of both sides of his mouth.
Wait, I didn't completely understand that, Nathan. You said that there's a lot of paradoxes that he's speaking from both sides of the what?
Where it sounds like Jesus is speaking out of both sides of his mouth.
Oh, that makes sense. That's funny. Okay. So then there was King of the Mountain. Like, you talked about how those of us who try to outdo each other and make more money than other people, or, you know, keeping up with the Joneses and all that stuff, that's symbolic of the ego trying to overthrow God. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And then the last one was kind of a rant. It was like, my head is spinning regarding all the different time dimensions, and that time is actually over. So I guess my limited consciousness is only letting me see Angela Irving's point of view in this dimension of time. But there's another dimension of time where another version of Angela Irving exists that I can jump to. Is this Angela Irving in the other dimension conscious while I'm conscious over here? Are they just like multiple choice possibilities that disappear when I forgive certain things? It was just a lot like, I mean, I know, okay, like, we made all this up and none of it's real anyway, but it just is a little hard to comprehend what that all, I don't know, what's all going on there. So, yeah.
Multiple choice Angela Irving.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense that the idea that you, or the aspect that you talked about, Jared, with Gary doing a lot of forgiveness, and then he was able to jump forward into a dimension of time where he no longer needed to learn that lesson, and so he didn't have to be in the car wreck to learn whatever lesson. But it just, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me. It's like, okay, we're animating different dimensions, but he says there's a bunch of dimensions going on at the same time. So that's what makes me like, well, so there's another Angela Irving in another dimension living my life, but in another, like, what? Like, I don't know. That just, like, maybe I'm spending too much time thinking about it, but it's hard not to. You know what I mean? I'm just throw that out there. Anyway.
Yeah,
so
I know what you mean.
Okay.
I know what you mean. It's
tough.
It's tough to think about, and it's sort of a mind fuck, and it's complicated. But the good news is that we don't really have to figure that part out.
That's kind of.
I want to. I mean, it's
sense.
interesting to talk about it. It would be fun to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, that does make sense to be the place to be. Just like, well, I don't know what the hell what that is, but like, I know that as long as I forgive, that good things happen. Like, as long as I'm forgiving and being loving, and because the weird thing is that I feel like I felt that kind of dimension jump at times where, like, everything just felt really different, where I I mean, I can definitely remember different times of my life when things felt absolutely terrible. And then like, oh, they got better, and I could like watch them get better over time. And then recently, I've had the experience of, actually after we had the call with Gary himself, like the next day I felt like, I think I like dimension jumped. Like I felt really different the rest of the day and really different the next day. And then I've also felt kind of like, oh, I'm back into this one, or back, you know, like you kind of go back and forth or whatever. I don't know if that's how it works, but I've felt that kind of thing once it was described to me. I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, I think I've felt that. But then,
Oh yeah, as long as you're doing forgiveness lesson after forgiveness lesson and you're passing all the tests and you're just forgiving like there's no tomorrow, you're changing dimensions, and things are getting progressively better on all levels.
yeah.
Well, I don't know if this is what you're talking.
Disappearing.
And I don't know if this is what you're talking about, Angela, but I just think it's important to point out that there's a section in this chapter where he talks about how that a lot of the people who are spiritually advanced are not doing well in the world. And so the feeling of doing well in the world and being happy is not necessarily connected with being, you know, spiritual progress.
No, I know what you mean. What you mean. Yeah, that's not what I was, like, often it goes together, but not always. It are two different feelings. They're like, oh, wow, cool, I have a lot of students and I'm making a lot of money. Like, I know that that's not, like, oh, good, I was spiritual, so I'm making a lot of money. Like, I know those things aren't really, like, connected like that. But no, I would say, the lack of fear and the lack of dread and the lack of worry, and kind of whenever Persa talked about in Disappearance of the Universe, when she said everything is really gentle, the touch of everything is really gentle, like that was like, oh wow, like I felt kind of that thing at one point. Like, I was the day that we had the call with Gary. So I mean, it was,
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh wow, I'm, you know, king of the castle or anything. It wasn't like that. It was just like, wow, I feel clear. It's kind of a vague way of describing it, but you'll probably know what I'm talking about.
No, I do for sure. And I have something to share after everybody else goes. But yeah, it's along those same lines. Absolutely.
Cool.
Being more in line with the Holy Spirit.
Cool. So I have one last thing to say, and it's something that I thought of earlier today. And I feel like Donald Trump is going to be a never-ending forgiveness lesson. Like,
Hilarious.
I just listen to NPR and I'm like, oh, you just gotta forgive him. Like, he just doesn't know he just doesn't know. Like, just you gotta forgive him. You just gotta forgive that man.
Good job. You're passing all your tests. Good job. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Getting kind of dark here.
Passing all your tests, man. It's awesome.
All right, that's all I have for now.
Great. Who's next?
Well, we can go next.
All right.
Again, you know, it always talks about your script being written and not much you can do about it, except in this chapter, it talked about coming up to an intersection and you can either go left or right. And if you go left, this will happen. If you go right, that will happen. And, you know, so I guess there is some choice that we can make that either the script already knew or it can possibly change your script, similar to what he did at the movie.
Yes.
So it always reminds me, you know, I've always been a believer that my time is set and there is nothing I can do about it. You know, I always remember back to this young couple with two small children driving down the freeway. It was on a Sunday, and you know, just the timing had to be incredible. But they basically, oops, did we freeze?
I can hear you guys.
I can hear you perfect.
Yeah,
I can hear you
froze a little
perfect.
bit. They were driving down the freeway, and it was a Sunday, out for a Sunday drive, and went near a construction site, and a steel beam from a bridge that was being built just come down and crushed all four of them. Just that instant. I can't imagine the timing that had to happen for them to plan their drive, get in the car, be driving down the road to the point where that beam that fell out of the bridge pretty well impelled into the vehicle and killed all four. So yeah, our script is there, you know, and I think, you know, my personal belief on that too is, yeah, this is a bump in the road for Viola, and she's going to learn something huge from this, her ovarian cancer. But you know, what's going to come out of that's going to be just something very powerful. That's my feeling on that.
Absolutely.
You know what?
How do you feel, Mom?
How do I feel about that? I'm a little confused on why I chose this road. Not totally confused on it, but I just wonder how I chose last time. Like, I guess why wonder is the ego that wants to wonder.
Mhm.
But I like how Gary in this chapter talked about how the course is made for intellectuals. It's not made for like it's made for intellectuals, and that's why it's not simple, because to undo the ego is not really all that simple. And the ego wants to be complicated, but if it would have been simple and basic, the intellectuals would have started reading it and just lost interest quickly. So there's a reason that Jesus has made it for the intellectual mind that likes to ponder and I don't know what the word is.
No, very true. I love that part. In fact, that was one of the things I was going to say that I forgot to say was how he talks about how it's 1,300 pages long. And yes, the message is simple, but if it was presented in simple terms, people wouldn't buy it because, or at least intellectuals wouldn't buy it because they want something that's more juicy, that has more detail. But at the end of the day, like you said, the ego is not simple, it's complex. The ego needs something like this to be undone, and it's a process. Thank you for saying that, Mom. Did you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, can hear you fine. You're kind
Did
of
you hear everything I said? Did you hear everything I said?
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Anything else, Mom?
No?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Nathan Lively.
Hey guys, I just walked into the store, so Jared, why don't you share what you were going to share, and then when I get out, I'll share.
Okay, cool. All right, so what I was going to share was we had a free session with Cindy Renard this week. Cindy is Gary's wife, and she wrote the book, A Course in Health and Well-Being.
Oh, you can buy sessions with her too?
What?
You can buy sessions with her too?
Yes, you can. I don't know how much they cost, though, because she gave it to us for free. And remember that Cindy is Argent in the book. Cindy is Argent. So this is like, Cindy's not chopped liver, you know? And the reason why we got the session for free is because we were scheduled to talk to Gary at a certain time, and the time came, and Gary wasn't there, and Gary sent us a message, and he's like, Cindy's in another session with someone she hired on like past life regression or something, and Cindy is not coming out of it. Like they're going over, and we only have one computer, and I'm so sorry. And we're like, well, can you talk in 20 minutes? He's like, yes. And then 20 minutes came, and Cindy was still on with this other person she hired. So Cindy knew she was screwing over Gary's appointment with us, but she, I guess, felt guided that she needed to stay into this thing she had going. And so we were cool with it. I mean, we just said, okay, well, let's reschedule. And we're rescheduled with Gary now this Wednesday. So we're going to have a session with Gary this Wednesday. But Cindy felt so bad afterwards that she sent us an email saying, oh, I am so sorry. I'd be happy to give you a free session and da-da-da-da-da. And this was before my mom's cancer diagnosis. So my mom actually we didn't know she had cancer. That was on Wednesday. By Saturday, we pretty much knew it was stage 3 ovarian. And so like 4 days later, that was probably the last day that my mom felt really great before going through the cancer stuff, or second to last day. But we did the session with Cindy last week, and here's what I wanted to share. Is one of my big questions was on visualization, because I visualize my goals and dreams almost like obsessively, fanatically. And in the Course in Miracles, it talks about letting go of all your goals and how your goals can actually hinder your spiritual growth. But I don't want to let go of my goals because I need them to pay my bills and survive and provide and whatever. And I realized on this trip, this last 12 days with my parents, that's actually coming from a place of fear. And I need to put the Holy Spirit in charge. And I got some clarity on, really like refraining from like just visualizing my goals and instead when I do my prayer in the morning, just say, Holy Spirit, I put you in charge of my day. Holy Spirit, I put you in charge of all my decisions I need to make in my business and in my life. And let's go. And I've noticed, I have a feeling that that's actually going to make me a lot more money as well, because I'm not just stuck into what my mind thinks is going to be, the best. Like, what if there's stuff out there that is actually way better? So I've stopped visualizing my goals. And that's different because I've been visualizing my goals for 12 years or 10 years about. And instead I just put it up to the Holy Spirit. I put the Holy Spirit in charge of my day. And that's a big shift. So I wanted to share that with you as well, that was one of the things that I got this week. It's nice to talk to you guys on a weekly basis because it forces me to recollect and reflect on what I learned the last week. But that was a big one. So that's what I had to share.
Cool.
Thank you. Nathan, it's your turn, bro.
Hey guys, I'm sorry I need a couple more minutes. I'll be right with you.
Okay, I can talk about something.
Okay.
So maybe this is something that's similar to I shouldn't worry about this because I should just do my forgiveness lessons and things will just work out or whatever. But when one of the things that always messes with me is when he's like, well, you're the only one out there. There's only one of you. And I mean, okay, I get that we're all little pieces of God and we're all like one. I get that. That makes sense. But he's like, there's nobody else out there. Still kind of messes with me because am I like not talking to you guys? And are you guys not practicing the same kind of stuff? And when I'm jumping to a different dimension, are y'all not also there? Like, you know what I mean? That, I don't know. Like, that's, again, maybe it's just something I shouldn't worry about per se. But when we're like presenting stuff like this to us, you know. Thoughts? Anyone?
Well, you're trying to understand it with your linear mind. it's something that's holographic. That's not a linear. It's not a linear concept. So it's pretty much impossible to understand with a linear mind. So yeah, I mean, I can see the conflict. I have the same conflict. I almost just decided to kind of not even worry about it, like, because I can't really conceptualize it. So I'm just like, you know what? I can't really conceptualize that too well. So I'm just gonna keep forgiving stuff, and that's it. I mean, I wish I could explain it better, but I would love to see what.
Jared, do you think that comes from the ego, how we're always trying to figure it out? Just like I just said, why I chose this road instead of that road. Is that the ego trying to distract us?
Yeah, it's the ego trying to tell you you're not good enough because you chose cancer. Duh, that's so dumb. And then the ego, you're never good enough. No one's ever good enough.
And I think one of the reasons that they don't explain that stuff to us 100% is that, there could be like a whole 10-book series about some of this stuff, but they don't want us to focus on that stuff, like it's interesting to talk about, but it's not going to get us home.
Right. Yeah, it's a distraction probably. Or it's like, hey, this is kind of how things are happening, but don't worry about that. It's just, I don't know, it's interesting that they say stuff. I guess it gives it context, but it's just, I don't know, it's a little wacky. And I mean, it's like, it's cool to think about. But
it's like the crazy thing is it's like when you get to the third book, Gary's book, and they start talking about the conspiracy that attacked the World Trade Centers in New York, and you're like, holy shit, so when are those guys going to go down? But they don't talk about that. They just talk about how it's a conspiracy.
Wow. It's wacky.
Total conspiracy.
Okay, do you want me to, can I share now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I timed that wrong. Anyway.
We forgive you.
So let's see. I was going to share a couple of things. I had a couple of hard days this week, and so it was really nice to listen to the chapter and just have those parts where they talk about how, people are having a hard time in life are not necessarily failing spiritually. Like, you could be making a lot of spiritual progress and still not be seeing success in your life or not be having a great time. So it was good for me to hear that.
Oh yeah.
I also had a nice moment of synchronicity. I was reading another book. I'm reading another book called Collaborating with the Enemy, which has a lot of great stuff about kind of dealing with your own emotions while you're trying to work with other people. And it's just amazing. I've read a handful of other books like this where it seems like people have come to discover the same principles that we're learning about from Gary Renard and from A Course in Miracles just by their own experiences in life. And so this guy's traveled around the world trying to mediate civil wars and really big problems. And he would fail at it really badly sometimes and then talk about how upset he was. And the part in the chapter that I came to read is he started talking about how he started following this psychologist, and how the psychologist was talking about how all conflict is internal and all the conflict that you see outside of you is projections of your internal conflict. And now he started using that in his work, and I was like, oh shit, that's straight out of the Course in Miracles. So that was the fun synchronicity that I had this week.
Yes. Cool, man.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's just really nice to hear about how there's only one of us and everyone is us, and sort of be walking around interacting with people while I'm doing that and trying to look at them and see them as myself, see them as Christ, see them as oneness. So it's an excellent sort of practical exercise as I'm learning the theory.
Absolutely. All in the practice.
That's it.
Thank you, Nathan. All right, so I want to wrap it up. I want to wrap it up with another little story from my end here. Last words from me. Another forgiveness lesson. We went to lunch or to dinner with my parents while we were there at this nice restaurant downtown Salt Lake, and the lady wasn't going to let us use our coupon. Like, we had this coupon, and we both had a coupon, my parents and I, but you couldn't use two coupons at one table, so we wanted her to ring us up with separate tickets, and she wouldn't. And, like, I just was upset about that, like, bad service. And my parents were so cool about it. They're just like, whatever, let's do it one check, and then we'll split the check, and then, you know, we'll use one coupon. And I was just like, just pissed off at the waitress. But I know from my Course in Miracles, I gotta forgive her. And so I just kept thinking, you know, you're Christ, young and innocent, all is forgiven and released. But I just couldn't give her 20%. I just couldn't give her 20%. So I give her 10%.
Oh my God, I love that you're closing the call about starting with ovarian cancer and ending with trying to get your coupon redeemed.
I was pissed off, man. She wasn't going to give me good service, and we were spending a lot of money there, and I'm like,
Jared, I did not know that.
I gave my 20%.
I know you gave 20%. I didn't give 20%. I gave her 10%. I was not happy. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. Maybe I failed. Maybe I failed. Maybe
No,
I failed.
you're not guilty. You're not guilty. You're not guilty. There's no such thing as guilt.
Oh, you know what, Mom? That's a great way to close the call. Like, the last part of chapter 6 is like, as guilty as you think you are, you know, in court, the Holy Spirit just dismisses the case.
Right.
And you're not guilty.
God, I forgot about that. That's so good.
Yeah.
I listened to that part like 3 times.
Yeah, that's a real good point.
Jared, you can still forgive yourself. Like, I've actually done that a number of times when I, like, did something that afterwards I was like, that was a terrible thing to do. Like, what did I just do? I was like, okay, I'm going to forgive myself. I'm going to forgive myself. I'm going to forgive myself.
Yeah, because I have to forgive myself and forgive her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, thank you for jogging my memory on that, Nathan. I wasn't going to bring that up, but yeah, absolutely. So, hey, man, the forgiveness continues, man. I know I'm 100% committed to forgiveness, and I know I might not do it perfect all the time, but I'm gonna keep doing it. Hell yeah, there's nothing else, dude. I don't want to come back here.
Wait, Jared, I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
You thought you were going to have the last word, but I want to say one more thing. So I thought about you last night because Ellis and I got into kind of a discussion fight, and then me and I was going to just go to bed and not really do anything about it. And then I was like, wait, Jared told me that story about how he went through all that and then decided to, you know, he wanted to be, what is it? He wanted to have peace instead of being right. And I was like, yeah. I'm going to say something. So then I did. And that was mainly, you know, because I just remembered your story, and then that motivated me.
Wow.
To do something. Uh-huh.
Yay. And how did it work out?
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was the difference between going to bed with some conflict and waking up with it, and then, or not.
Wow. Kudos, Nathan. That's big time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard somebody else, I don't remember who it was, but it was in a spiritual context saying, would you rather be right or happy? And maybe they got it from this stuff. I mean, I've been hearing things and saying, I've heard that from this source. I wonder if they got it from the Course in Miracles. I wonder if that, you know, or if we're all just well, we're all just learning it. However, we're
Yeah.
learning it.
Every day's another opportunity to forgive more stuff.
Yep. And I like that you can forgive the past and it still counts, or you can forgive a memory.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Today I was on the airplane home and these guys were talking, and it was like an early flight, like 6:30 in the morning. And these guys were talking and they're next to me, and I'm trying to sleep. And I just thought, I forgive you guys. I forgive you guys for talking. I just said, I forgive you guys for talking. And I fell asleep. And I slept like a baby, like 2 hours on that flight. But I had to forgive those guys for talking next to me. They still kept talking. But anyway, little one. But just as big as forgiving my sister. There's no difficulty in Course in Miracles, right? There's no degree of difficulty. So.
Yeah.
All right. Any final words, Mom and Dad, Angela, Nathan, before we end the call?
No.
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 Enjoy the football game.
Yes, we're at the football game. You can see it right here. There's the stadium. Crystal already left.
Yeah, I figured.
Crystal's already in there. I gotta go find her. But I want to just say that first of all, I want to thank you, the 5 of you, for being on the call, and or the 4 of you and me, whatever, all of us for being on the call, and for doing the whole 6 hours. And we're gonna take a 1-week break. We will not have this call next Friday. We're gonna take 1 Friday off. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna listen to it again and invite a whole new group of people. So my personal thing is I'm gonna keep inviting people, and I want to know, first of all, though, how do you feel about that? Because we don't have to do that. I mean, we could choose something else too. You guys are the group.
Oh shit! I thought we were gonna listen to the next one.
Okay, so yeah, we can do that too. Honestly, like in fact, instead of me just like saying what we're gonna do, like, how do you guys feel about what do you want to do? Do you want to listen to this? Do you want to choose a new one? What do you want to do?
New content.
New content. Okay.
I mean, I like new content, but I always get new stuff out of old content too. So I mean, maybe we could one time, but we could switch around. You could like go to a new content and then come back to these. You know what I mean? Because like, when we were on chapter 5 a number of times, I went back and listened to all of the Experience of the Universe, and I got a lot more out of it because I hadn't listened to it in a while. You know, so
yeah,
like I feel like a rotation of some kind. If we like, yeah, we can always get a new one too, but I think rotating back to something else that we have listened to will bear fruit.
Okay. So maybe like listen to a new audiobook here in 2 weeks, and then come back to Secrets of the Immortal maybe after that, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the other book we were gonna listen to? Do you guys remember?
I mean, I can look at my. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I can look at my Audible.
We're almost done, babe. Almost done. Uh huh.
I can look at my Audible thingamabob. Whoa, not now. Okay. So I have Fearless Love and The End of Reincarnation by Gary Renard. Those are
The End of Reincarnation is short. Super short.
Yeah, they're both short.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they're both. I mean, wait. I think Fearless Love. Hold on. Oh, that's hilarious. It's like trying to play it for me, and I'm not. I don't want to play things yet. Hold on. Okay.
You know, I could ask Gary Renard, because we have our session with Gary Renard this Wednesday. I could ask Art in person, hey, which one do you think would be best for our book club, Fearless Love or End of Reincarnation? Since we're going to take a week off anyway.
That sounds good. Also ask him about maybe lottery numbers for me.
And how can Nathan win the lottery?
Or you could just, I mean, it doesn't even have to be, you know, I mean, wouldn't have to be necessarily Gary Renard stuff. Like, just ask him open, like, hey, what do you think we should listen to next?
Yeah, because also it could be Ken Wapnick. Ken Wapnick has some badass stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we can get it, I'm open.
Ken Wapnick. Oh yeah. Okay. Why don't we do that? I'll talk to Gary. We'll talk to Gary, me and Mom and Dad, Wednesday, and we'll get some guidance from Martin and Persa, and we'll just go with whatever they say.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Awesome. And I'm gonna try and get Gary back on another one of these calls. I'm gonna ask him to be a special guest so we can load up the call again. Wouldn't that be cool? Get like 25 people on the call.
Would be.
And are we just supposed to interrupt him? Is that what we're going to be practicing that day?
Yes. Oh yeah.
That's what you said.
Yes. 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 Absolutely. No problem. He'll forgive you. He'll forgive you for interrupting him.
I'll let you in.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And by the way, I have a request of you. Whenever we add new people to the group, can you all please welcome? Just like write welcome in the comments to these new people. So that way, when someone becomes a new member, because I'm going to be recruiting hard the next 2 weeks. Like they get a welcome from Angela and a welcome from Randy and Viola and a welcome from Nathan. Then they feel like they got more comments on Facebook.
Right. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
You got it, Jared.
Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and end the call. Thank you for being on. It's been a pleasure as usual. And Dad, please unmute the lines and let's say have an awesome night and God bless.
An awesome night. God bless.
Have an awesome night and God bless, guys.
Have an awesome night and God bless.